Hello and welcome to the Night of Terror. Okay, just working. Just a moment. What? Okay, once I got rid of that, because it's very uncomfortable with the fake teeth. Welcome to the Night of Terror that is Halloween. Anyway, I decided to do something differently for this Halloween. This is the first Halloween I get to record something, and even I get something a little bit different. Yes, it's not a very expensive cave or anything like that. So it's quite different at least. And why this is different? Because this is my first ever review. Yeah, and I decided to make it in the Halloween spirit. Why is that? Because I love Halloween. I really do enjoy a lot. This festivity is one of very exciting. But ironically, I'm not a fan of the common horror movies. And I mean zombies and all that. No, I prefer more of a psychological terror. In this case, I'm going to be speaking about a manga that really captivated me like 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously, I'm not going to do a reaction because, yes, I have really read it, said manga. But this is a very interesting manga, and I think it's pretty neat. I'm, of course, speaking about the manga Monster. According to Wikipedia, this is obviously a Japanese manga series illustrated and written by Naoki Urasawa and was published by Shogakukan in their big comic original magazine between 1994 and 2001, with the chapters collected and reprinted in 18 volumes. So yes, this story revolves around Kensu Tenma, a Japanese surgeon living in Germany whose life enters in this terrible situation, of course, in the case of several murders. The main suspect of these, murders are Johann Leibert, one of his former patients, who is revealed to be a psychopath serial killer. And why am I saying this from the beginning? Why am I saying, oh yes, Johann is the killer? Because in the manga it's not very hidden. It's not hidden. You knew once you read the manga in the first few volumes that he was the killer. The manga told you that. That is not the mystery surrounding the manga. No, there is something a lot deeper in there. And why is that? That is what the manga is trying to tell you. This whole mystery revolving around these two people. In this case, the doctor and of course his patient, which he saved. But it's a very difficult circumstance here. And I'm going to speak a little bit about the manga itself so you can gain some context of it. Tenma, of course, the protagonist, for a lack of a better word, because he's kind of a hero, but he is not the classic heroic figure that we know in our shonen manga. No, he is this surgeon that he's very talented, of course. He knows what he's doing. He is even doing some research in Germany. But of course, everything that is happening there is thanks to the head of the hospital. And he is very acquainted with said head of the hospital because he is not only, well acquainted with this guy, but he's well acquainted with his daughter. Of course, he's dating his daughter, and not only that, he is about to get married to said daughter. Of course, he is presented with several choices. In this case, he was about to get ready to do surgery in a minor, if I'm not mistaken, but of course a more important person arrived to the hospital, and that's why he changed, or it was changed, to attend to this opera singer. And this is not the first case. He doesn't feel comfortable with this. We can see that he is not a bad person. We can see that he really cares about his profession. He wants to save lives no matter who lives if he saved it. And then another moral problem, just like we saw with the singer and the miner, because yes, this is a case that was very deep into the mind of our doctor that yes, he did something wrong because he chose the life of an opera singer instead of a life of a miner, when for him there should not be difference. He should help both equally. And yes, even though the miner arrived first to the hospital, the opera singer was attended first. So that's why he is kind of conflicted. And another conflict arises because yes, all of these are orders of the chief of this hospital. He's ordering him that he should save somebody else. And the daughter has the same mentality that yes, not all lives are the same. This is the mentality of these people that are in charge of the hospital, but not our hero, Tenma. Tenma actually really wants to save everybody, really wants to become a doctor, or he wanted to become a doctor to save lives of everybody, not just the rich and powerful. And another case very similar to the opera singer arrives because yes, there is a murder in this case. Somebody has killed two people and one of the kids, or at least severely injured one of the kids. The other one is alive and well. This is a girl. This is important. They are rushed towards the hospital. The girl is in a catatonic state. She cannot do anything, only to repeat the word kill, kill, kill. Again, this is important for the future. And the other kid is in a very bad condition with a wound, a bullet in his head. So yeah, he's not doing that well. But when he was about to save this kid, our hero Tenna is called again because the major is injured too, just in the middle of the operation. And again, another moral dilemma is presented to him. He decides to save the kid, even though he was ordered to save the major. The kid survives and the major dies. And thanks to choosing to save the life of this kid instead of saving the life of the major, this is when the debacle of our protagonist starts. Because yes, everything that he had before, the position of head surgeon that he was about to get, the fiance that he had, the favor of the boss or the main doctor of this hospital, everything went away. Everything, because he chose wrongly according to these people that are in charge. Because again, even the daughter of the main doctor, the fiancé, she was starting to see that yes, not all lives are equal, and this is a very important motif for the rest of the manga. But actually, yeah, thanks to that he's in charge of the kid, he kind of breaks that. Yes, he was asking for not forgiveness, for a reference that he was correct, that he was right in saving the life of this kid. The kid kind of hear him, or we can see that he heard this person, the Dr. Tenma. And this is when everything escalated. Thanks to being the solely survivor, well, alongside with the sister of this disaster, of this tragedy that happened with his family, he's showered with gifts. He's an orphan that was adopted, and unfortunately a psychopath just tried to kill the family, but he survived alongside with the sister thanks to this doctor. He was removed for this reason, because yes, the doctor that saved the life of the kid was going to be praised, and they don't want that. They want to punish him because he didn't follow the orders. But, and this is important, all the people that were involved in this terrible thing die thanks to poisoning. Of course, the main suspect is Tenma, because the one who was angry towards all these people was Tenma. They never got any information, and time passed by. His name, I think, chief surgeon, because yeah, the hospital is in complete chaos, and he continued his life. Before those 9-year process, we figured it out, or we are told that the kids escape. The son or the child that was cured or that was operated, and his sister. And this is when the things are getting very interesting. 9 years later, we find another important patient, important for the plot. This person is a criminal and he's injured, but he's so scared of a monster. So far, we don't know who is said monster. And he's so scared. Of course, he has a guard. He has somebody to protect him, or more than protect him, to protect or to prevent him to escape. He is recovering in the physical way, but not in the mental way, because he's still afraid of this monster. That's when our doctor, our protagonist, decide to give him a gift, to give him something. But before he can do that, he discovers that the guard is dead and the patient is running away. We still don't know who killed the man. We still don't know who killed the guard. We kind of suspect that he is the criminal, but why he's running away in fear. We follow this criminal, and I think it was a construction building, we finally found our monster. And we saw the image that is really, really important for us. The presentation of our monster. This guy is really, really mysterious because we don't know so far what is going on with him or who he is. We know that he is a he, until it's later revealed to us that actually the kid that was saved 9 years ago is the monster. He killed the criminal and he just walks away like it was nothing. For him, killing is literally nothing. And this is the important portion, or at least one of the most important portions of this manga. Why is that? Because the killer is revealed to us, a very handsome man, almost like a feminine man, the contrary of what you think of a monster. And this is important because this creates a moral dilemma. The doctor saved our main antagonist, our villain. He saved him and he allows him to continue his killing spree. Even though before that the moral position for him was very clear, that he was saving everybody no matter what. And this is the conflict that brings us to this first part of the manga. A very important conflict. Because yes, if you pay attention to all of this, the deaths that are going to happen later on could have been prevented if the doctor would have go away and save the major as he was instructed. He still have his life, his fiancée, everything for him. All the main characters of this manga are really, really interesting. And of course, we're going to see them in order. Of course, the first character we're going to be speaking about is our main character, Tenma. Tenma is a very moral doctor. He doesn't want to save people just because they are rich or because they are powerful. No, he wants to save people. That's why he became a doctor. And he is an important one because he is the main focus of the story. Yes, the story from time to time kind of change the protagonist or change the main focus of the story. But of course, the majority of the importance of this guy, of Tenma, is the main one. He is giving us all the information that we need. We're kind of following, or almost in the same way that he's following the story. He is our main mover of this story. Then we have, of course, Johan. Johan is our villain, and again, a very interesting moral position for the villain. He's a complete monster. He has no fear, he has no mercy, he cannot feel love for anybody. He's capable of killing anybody in his way. He has a goal, and a very clear one. Of course, we are not being told this in the beginning of the manga, because yes, we need to discover that. What is his goal? And that is the important part, because yes, even though we know the name of the protagonist, or at least the name that was given at the beginning of the manga, we don't know much about this guy. We end up discovering all that is happening in the duration of the manga. And not only that, the importance of the name. Yes, most of the time we refer to this character as Johann, but that is not his real name. Hell, even in the last moment when we could have a reveal of the name, we were interrupted by these kind of nightmarish visions of the doctor of Tenma. And he could never say his name. We don't know his name. And this is important for the manga. Because, as we know, names are powerful. You gain power over somebody else once you have their name. And yes, this comes from mythology, from the Greek mythology and several other places. So this is important, and I love this aspect of the manga. Then, of course, we have Nina. Nina is the twin sister of our main villain. And she is another important character because she doesn't remember much about her past, and there is a good reason for that. All the experiments were bring upon them. This is our main problem. The protagonist is looking for a monster that was created by an organization thanks to experiments. And of course, why I bring this in Nina and not in Johann, because from what I get on the story, Nina is the real subject of the experiment. She was the one that was locked in a dark room. She was the one who was punished, and the one who was saved was actually Johann. And the one that is getting murders, or happening murders thanks to the traumatic experience. Again, I'm gonna speak about this one in the end, but this is a very important character. Nina is a very important character. Then we have the Inspector Hemrich. He is another one. He is truly believing at the beginning of the manga that Tenma is the real killer, that he has multiple personalities, and one of them is a terrible murderer. The main one is, of course, the doctor, but the other one is the murderer, and that's why everybody believes him to be innocent. He is really thinking that. But thanks to the passing of time, thanks to the information he gained later on, that now he's convinced that he is not, that Johann truly exists and is not just another personality of the Doctor. And he is another important character because in the end, in the main conflict, in the final conflict, he is one of the people who really holds back the people that are following Johann in his killing spree. Then we have Eva. Eva is the daughter of the doctor that was killed in the beginning of the manga, the chief, the fiancé of our protagonist. She is another important character because she also goes through a changing of moment. She goes from this selfish girl to this selfish person that only wants her dad, and the only important man in her life is her dad, to this kind of very sick individual, because every single thing that she does after her father's death is, well, dating. She's going down because nobody is as important as her father or Tenma. Again, Tenma showing that he is a very important person in several lives. And she cannot love anybody else but Tenma. And she's going to struggle because, yes, she's rejected by Tenma because she abandoned him in the most important moment in his life when he needed the help the most. But the arc is changing because now she believes in Tenma. In the end, of course, first she wants to kill him, then she wants to be in prison, and then, of course, she wants to help him in the end. This is a very important character for all that he has changed. And of course, we are shown that yes, a person is capable of changing, even though it takes some extremes in the end. And then of course we have Grimmer. Grimmer is a survivor of the experiments that were, trying to create this perfect soldier that just showing rage and of course so violent that they will be able to kill anybody inside. And this is Grimmer. He believes that he is incapable of loving anybody else. He cannot cry. He believes that all his humanity has been taken away. But in the last few moments of the manga, when he has an appearance, we are seeing a very humane person, a person that recovered all his feelings, all his humanity. Unfortunately for him, he died. But he died kind of happy, because now he feels sadness, something that he never felt before, something that he wasn't capable of, or he believed that he wasn't capable of feeling. So yeah, this is a very important character too. We of course have other characters. Several of them are appearing in the manga. The psychological battle between all these problems. Of course, we have psychologists, we have police officers, we have several other moments. But the important and the main plot of our manga is trying to stop our monster, to stop Johan. And this is when the important things happens. We saw, of course, Tenma the most of the time. We saw him as this very honorable person that he doesn't want to kill. He's a doctor. He wants to save lives. That's why he refused to kill even back then. But he has to kill because he believes he's responsible for all the rest of the deaths. He will have let this kid die. Nobody else will have died. So that's why this is his crusade. The police is believing that he is the murderer of all the people. That he believes that he murdered the doctor. He's suspecting now even more, 9 years later. And they believe that he's the suspect of the murder of the police officer and, of course, the inmate or the victim that was running away from the monster. So he's running away too. But he's running away trying to catch our monster. He wants to kill him, even though he's incapable of doing. But of course, thanks to that, everything that is happening, we saw that he's really, at the end, ready to kill. But of course, this is not as simple as just to kill a bad guy. No, this is important. All the things that we discovered, that we saw that yes, indeed, Johan is a monster. He's incapable of feeling. He's willing to kill anybody else. But the important part, he doesn't want to. He wants to die too. Why is that? He was killing all the foster families that adopt him and his sister. He was the one. And he was killing left and right because that was he was the perfect weapon. But actually he wasn't. He took that burden from his sister. The sister was the one that was experimented upon. She was the one that was supposed to be the murderer, the perfect weapon. But he cheated his sister. And he became that murderer to protect his sister. Or at least that's what I interpret from the manga. Because everything is revealed little by little, little by little. And yes, the sister forgot all of this. That's why she wasn't a cold killer. Johan was the cold killer, the monster, the demon. But the sister was supposed to be him. Everything is fascinated with this manga. We came to the conclusion that yes, you need to stop Johan. But if the doctor does it, if the doctor seriously kills him, he will become a monster himself. Because he now will kill. And this is fascinating because, yes, in the end, what we saw is a very broken man. We saw that, yes, Johann wants to die. He wants to recreate what his sister did in the past, because the sister poisoned several adults that were celebrating the fact that this monster was created. The perfect soldier, the perfect dictator. She killed them. And the brother wants to recreate this so he can finally see the end, the desolated end. I love this manga for all the message beneath the surface, because we saw several stories of several authors. Well, not several authors, it's the same. The real monster here, the one that created all of this. He survived, and they are after him. But the problem is, innocence will suffer thanks to this revenge. Because, again, the monster wants to recreate the death that his sister was guilty of. But he wants to finish the job. He wants to take away the last member that survived. Everything fascinating about this manga is the psychological battle we're seeing. Yes, there is a monster, and we know that there is a monster. We know the psychopath that is on the loose. We then learn all the circumstances that surround this one. And we encounter several of the kids that survive, including one that is carrying the murderers, that is following the orders blindly, the orders of the psychopath, the orders of Johann. We encounter all of these, but again, it's kind of a question to regain humanity. That even in the end, the monster that provoked all of these, the one that did the experiments, was regretful of all that he did, and he wasn't allowed to die. Because yes, once you start to read the last chapters of the manga, you start to see that the cause of all of this, the doctor that was the cause of all of this, wanted to die. He didn't care about his life anymore, but they keep him alive because he needs to suffer just like the kids did. It is a fascinating topic. It's a fascinating reading, and yes, I truly recommend you to read the manga because the plot is intriguing. And yes, I'm not going to spoil every single detail of it, even though I told you that how everything that's happening. I am still not tell you the end, which is something I'm going to do on purpose because I want you to see exactly how everything comes to an end. Everything that is happening. And yes, I'm omitting several points in which are important to the plot because again, I want you to read it and I want you to be fascinated by this manga. This is something I read a couple of years ago, and I always wanted to say something along those lines that yeah, this is a fascinating reading, and I've been reading it several times now. Of course, one for this review because yes, there are some details that were kind of sketchy in my mind. But yeah, I love the psychological terror that provokes this. That yes, you are given this information, but not all the information. And we are kind of terrorized by this monster, by this demon. That even the higher-ups that believe they are controlling him are not truly in control. They don't know what they are doing. They don't know that he has ulterior motive, that he doesn't care about their plans, about the machinations that they could have. No, he always has a plan, but that plan is a very selfish plan, that everything that he has done is for him and him alone. And yes, the manga has kind of a happy ending for all our main protagonists. Again, I'm not revealing much of the manga. All of the people that we are kind of seeing regularly in the manga kind of have a happy ending. Hell, even one of the characters that die, yes, it's kind of a tragic, but it's a happy ending in the end, for him at least. So yeah, it is a very, very interesting manga, which I genuinely recommend to read. I cannot speak about the anime because I haven't watched it. I decided no, I don't want to watch this anime because the manga is way too good. Yeah, perhaps I will be seeing in a future, and perhaps I'm gonna do a review about the said manga or said anime, sorry, and compare it to the manga. But so far, I want to keep the memories of a very terrifying story, a very thrilling story. This is the kind of terror which fascinates me, a very psychological terror. Because yes, we saw deaths, we know that people die, but we actually, in the manga, never saw the moment of the death. This manga doesn't rely on gore, doesn't rely on seeing the shocking moment of a death. No. It relies on the terror that you know who is behind all of those deaths. But you don't know how are you going to stop somebody as relentless, as cold, as calculating as this guy, as Johan. And yes, you are rooting for the hero, of course. But you don't know how a simple doctor is going to deal with what is shimming behind bars. Because this is a very political problem. This is a very political thriller and a fascinating story of good, but not so good. All the gray areas that we can have. Because this is not a battle of good versus evil. There are moral dilemmas in the middle, and that is what is fascinating about it. That's why I love this manga. It's one of my favorite ones. And I wanted to share my first review with you about this fascinating topic. And yes, I wanted to share this in Halloween because this is a perfect Halloween story. A serial killer with a brilliant mind. And the moral dilemma of our society. I love it. And I hope you enjoy this review, one of many that I'm preparing. And I hope you enjoy the night of Halloween, the night of terror. But what is more terrifying than making a safe space unsafe? And what is more terrifying than an innocent creature turning into a demon? That's it, guys. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. And happy Halloween.